Welcome to After Work Conversations with Manic and the Jerk. I'm the Manic Genius.
And I'm the Sophisticated Jerk.
All right, today we have a topic that we discussed a little bit in the back. Lay it on us.
Yeah, so the topic today, man, there's like multiple, I'll say, situations that kind of cause this. So I'll kind of start, of course, when you're looking at celebrities, you have the Tiger Woods, all these guys that get cleaned out in divorces because, they have that trick mindset. But recently, I think what kind of set this off where we definitely wanted to have this conversation. I was listening to some panel and a couple guys on there were discussing like $1,000 dates and paying for them and taking people out on there. And it was like tricking at the highest levels. And then people were trying to justify doing, like this tricking and stuff like that. It got so bad, man, I had to like not only shut off my computer, but I turned off the modem because I didn't want that shit like creeping in through, my headset and infecting me or my son, like embedding that mindset into us. So I was like, nah, we're going to have to like combat this and stuff like that. So, that's the purpose of this topic. So it's kind of your take on that $1,000 date situation. How you feel about that?
A dude spending $1,000 on a date, like on a you said a dinner date?
Yeah, like a dinner date.
This wasn't a vacation. He wasn't taking her.
Nah, it was a flat out like dinner date.
So on some food. Wow.
Yeah.
I would just say that man, either one of two things. Either he really has that type of money, and I mean, you can kind of see that, based on their lifestyle. If a dude's got like, multiple properties, multiple sources of income, luxury cars with the S, you can't have one luxury car or two luxury cars and be spending $1,000 on dates. That's just dumb. Yeah, either you got that type of money and it really just means nothing to you, or
I got to give you some pushback after you're done with the second point.
Or, you're just a guy with nothing, nothing else good about you, like nothing else exciting about you. So you have to trick to that level or to that degree because you're just uninteresting. That's sad to be as a man. Like, you have to spend $1,000 to get a woman to pay attention to you. Like, that's some real loser shit. Yeah, you got to be a fucking. I can't even call a loser that, because I mean, a loser, they're just like, okay, this person, there's hope. Like, if you spend $1,000 on a plate to get somebody's attention, yeah, you're below a loser. I don't even know what the word is.
They ain't got no game. That's what the yeah, it is loser territory. But why I have to give you some pushback is because even if you have it like that, because the whole what's the quote? It ain't tricking if you got it. It's tricking whatever you want to chop it up, whatever you can say it in any language to make it better, or you could try to justify it, but it's tricking at the end of the day. And I hate throwing my shit out there, but I got 2 commas in my net worth. Do the math, put it together. And all the people I'm around, definitely we got a network of people that got their stuff together. Ain't nobody doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you spend about $1,000, you should be taking out a few individuals to a dinner, like at a work function or something like that, but on a one-on-one date, that's uncalled for. And you was kind of laying it out. Because I think, like, if you got to kind of use those type of tactics and stuff, you're lacking in some areas, whether you want to admit it or not. You might not have the personality, the charisma, the charm, and all that other stuff where you're just using that the money as I'll say the shortcut and stuff like that. Because it is going to work to a certain degree. You are going to pull some people in, but they're coming there directly to lace you up, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of push back on that. But real quick, I just want to go back. The title of this episode is The Rise of the High Value Tricks. So let me go ahead and give you the first question because it's going to kind of tie into everything.
Yeah, no, I like what you said about that last point though. I never thought about that. There's another case, if you spend that type of money, if it's like you said, like a work function or like an investment as far as like a business opportunity. Like, I think after you get above a certain, dollar threshold, that's like business territory. And like, so yeah, I mean, if you're, smoozing like a client, trying to get like a multi-million dollar deal, then yeah, then you might need to, you know, go above and beyond and like showcase, uh, that you're able to, finance a dinner like that. But yeah, like if it's not a business venture, yeah, nah, I can't see spending that type of money on food. Like at that point, you're just, I don't know, you're doing too much, way too much. It's like you're trying to portray something that you know obviously you're not. Because if you were that person, you wouldn't have to do all that.
You know what people are going to say, like, why are you guys counting other people's money? It's like, we're not counting your money. We're counting your tricking because, we both got sons and we going to combat this nonsense. Cause
Yeah,
like I said, you hit it on the head. It's like $1,000. You're going way over the top. Cause if you think of even some like really nice restaurants, you're not even hitting that unless, like I said, you're taking multiple individuals. So you definitely try to go above and beyond and trying to flex. Like I said, which is covering up some of your shortcomings and stuff like that. But go ahead. I got this first question for you. What is a high value trick in your eyes?
um, a high value trick is essentially a essentially a trick, and that's just really a guy who, um, you know, uh, kind of showcases, not even showcases, but essentially leads with his wallet, leads with his money, and you typically see these guys because, there's nothing more interesting than what they have to, offer. So when a guy is not, fulfilling all the aspects to be, a man, you know, it's easy to focus on, one particular uh quality of, you know, what we consider to be masculine and like their ability to provide and our ability to provide. So a guy with a lot of financial resources um, does not make him a trick, but a guy willing to give up his financial resources, that's a trick. Um, and it's a trick because, women can easily come in and, manipulate the situation and extract resources from this guy. And, that person doesn't have the intellect to maintain a relationship without paying for it. So or they don't value the time required to get a actual high quality woman, so they just want a quick fix through, and they got the financial means to, not got, they're willing to use their financial means to make things transactional. So a high value trick is just, somebody with more than the
You said the average trick.
yeah, he's just more than the average trick. It's just like, hey, there's a guy with resources and he's just willing to just throw it out. And like everything in life, there's levels to it. So yeah, a high value trick, like I said, is just a guy who's, you know, uh doesn't really understand or have the level of awareness um to articulate what he wants from somebody and garner and able to keep their attention without giving up money.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You broke down. And I just think, when Kevin Samuels came out, and, this is why I had some issues with the high value man, because it never pointed out like, the other components, like your mindset, like I kind of mentioned a little bit before, the charisma, your personality, the humor aspect. And it's just like people just fixated on the money piece. And then, instead of like focusing on those other areas, because don't get me wrong, getting that bread is definitely important. Definitely
Yeah.
advocate for that. But to kind of lead off with that and is, just take that component of the money and just say like, okay, I'm good now. Like people are going to be in line. I'm gonna have the submission at that point. It's like, nah, if you're leading off with that, you're setting yourself up for, a bad situation and stuff like that. So it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna work to a certain degree, but you can't buy like physical and sexual attraction. You
No.
can't buy respect. And that's what people fail to realize. So, they use the money as the tactic. And so, like you said, they go over the top and do all this flashy shit because it's gonna work to a certain degree, but the issue they always have, because we see it, like I said, the celebrity world, you see all these men that have way more money than all of us on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And they
Yeah.
can't keep them, whether it's like Tiger Woods, all we could run down a list of all these guys that just came out recently. And it's just like, hey, if money was the end all, they wouldn't be getting divorced and stuff. The women would be in
Yeah.
line. So it's just like, when you're sitting there, you lead off like that, you can't retain somebody, you can't make them happy and stuff to a certain degree. So that's why I'm saying they're gonna come in there and yeah, they're gonna lace you up. They're gonna line you up to a certain degree because they're gonna play the long
Yeah.
game. So women like that. And so we're not saying like don't treat women good. That's not the case. But it's just like, man, whether you're male or female, everything should be earned to a certain degree. You should be vetting each other. You should be wanting that person in their truest form and stuff like that. So those guys, like I said, it's terrible how they position themselves. And what makes it worse is they'll sit there and try to justify it.
Yeah.
Like I said, like, nah, it's not tricking if you got it. I do this stuff on a norm, and it's just like, man, ain't nobody sitting in no damn $1,000 restaurant on no damn normal day,
No, I
chilling
mean,
like that.
I feel like if you do get a chance to like talk to these type of guys who really promote this and you allow them to just talk, they break it down for you and then you start to once they unravel their thought process and the whys, they kind of reveal like certain insecurities. And it's that insecurity in the sense of, you know, they can't retain, the type of women that they actually want without having to do that. So, you know, like I know you or me, we both have an understanding that, it doesn't matter how great we look, it doesn't matter how in shape we look, it doesn't matter how much money we get, there's always going to be women who are not for us. Whether or not they don't like our personality, whether they don't like, our look, or they don't like something about us. There's just some women who are just not for you. And, I have that level of awareness to realize that and be like, okay, cool. I don't have to be for every woman, right? I just need, uh, the one that I want, or, I want to attract as many as possible, right? So I think a lot of times these high value tricks don't have that level of awareness, so that they bypass that by shelling out the bread, because it gives an incentive for women to give up their time. And I think that once you start doing it for a long time, you start to justify it. Like I have an understanding, right? If let's say you're the athlete, you've made it to the highest level of, whatever professional sport that you're in, the level of discipline and dedication that takes is well beyond, you know, well beyond, the I would probably even say like 99% of people. So like you're in that top 1% as like a professional athlete. And that's due a lot of times not just your, genetic gifts, but your dedication and discipline. Um, so being so disciplined and focused in like one particular lane, it's kind of easy to not necessarily have, the best social dynamics when it comes to dealing with, the opposite sex, because, women are damn near throwing themselves at you from the time you're in high school, especially if you're a star athlete. Then college is even worse. And then as a professional, it's on a whole nother level that, I mean, I'd have to get a professional athlete to come and, speak on that. Uh, so it's just like, um, I, so when women are approaching them like that, and then they allow that one or two or three or however many that they allow to come in their lives, you know, the conversation dynamics are just going to be a little different, because they're not used to sitting up there like the average Joe who has 10 hours of his day to sit on the phone, cater to a chick, and like do all the most, come up with these witty jokes that women like, understand like a woman's psyche and all this stuff. So as an athlete, you're focused on like the stuff that made you an athlete and like getting money and getting bread. So I think it leaves you at a disadvantage when dealing with women. And I think it's a lot easier for people who have that level of hyper focus. And let's just take it out of the athlete realm and, even somebody who's like a doctor or a lawyer, like that level of hyper focus that you have to get to your discipline or be at the top of your game in your discipline, it just kind of doesn't really allow you to have the same social interactions and dynamic of somebody who's, you know, not as disciplined because they're just out there out and about. So you've worked so hard, you have all this abundance of money, and you're just like, I'll make this, hey, to get this type of woman, this is just what comes with it. And then I think once you start going down that slippery slope of like paying for women's time and not realizing, not having the awareness that like, hey, these women, they should kind of be on their best behavior to even be in your lane to like talk to you. I think we as men get so blinded by like beauty and attraction that we're just like, we know these things. Like, but when you place a beautiful woman in front of us, it kind of just goes out of the window for some guys, especially the guys who are not used to, you know, getting women. It's just like, oh, this is the one. This is the one I really want. So I'll take her out on an expensive dinner because I got the money. I'll trick off all my money, and you're gonna justify it to yourself. And after you do like years of that, it just becomes natural to you. So you don't even see it as tricking. You just like, oh, I'm just being a provider because I'm a man who can provide, and you start, taking on a whole different mindset. But you know, like the sophisticated jerk said, we give a lot of pushback to guys because just because that's your life and your existence, it doesn't mean that you got to promote because it's a sucker. I mean, it's a you're a sucker at that point, like a sucker, loser, trick, whatever you want to call it. Because you should be, not you should be, but no, I can say that you should be a man in the sense of every aspect of being a man. So not just your finances. You should be, you should have, as the sophisticated jerk said, you should have your mental toughness, emotional intelligence, all that stuff. Your physical, you should be in, good shape. You should have a level of social awareness and community and understanding and ability to just listen, and understand that, if a woman is with you and is willing to take your money because you're giving it out to her, like she's not there authentically. She's there for the perks. And that's the worst type of situation you could be in. And like you said, you can just look at all the celebrities who have way more money than anybody, and even at the highest levels, they're getting tricked. And that's what a high value trick is.
That was a thorough ass breakdown.
I was rambling.
Now you said a couple things, man, and I just want to kind of touch on that because I think that does hold some truth when you're saying like I think people do stuff for so long that it just becomes the norm for them. It becomes their lifestyle where that's when I think they start trying to justify it. And it's not to slander because like I still think like people in this lane and stuff like that, they still men at the end of the day, but I think as men, we should try to correct each other, give constructive feedback and stuff like that. Cause it's just like, it just doesn't end well. It's like, however you want to chop it up and stuff, you go down that path if you want to. Nobody can stop how you spend your money, but it's just like you were kind of mentioning, you taking that type of role. It's like almost like you're putting, that just because since you're focusing so much on beauty that you're putting that on a pedestal at the expense of like, your happiness and stuff like that. Cause it never works out. Like I was kind of mentioning before, it's like, man, you can't pay for somebody's like, sexual and physical attraction to somebody, so they will come into that picture, but they're going to carry a level of resentment because you're really not the person they want to be with. So like I said, they're going to entertain you. It remind me of that movie, Casino, where he had, I forgot her name, Ginger and stuff like that. And she, every time she turned around, she would be taking his money and going to, meet up with the pimp and stuff like that. So, we see this like kind of common in life when females are putting guys in their phone as like lunch and stuff, but they'll go kick it with the guy and they'll go get a Subway sandwich and be like smitten with that guy. And that's what guys don't
Yeah.
realize. Like, man, you get the female that's like treating you good, you treat her good back, but she wants to kick it with you in any capacity. You know, whether you don't have to go spend $1,000, you could go kayaking, you know, go, you know,
Yeah.
go bowling or something, you know, an arcade and have a great time where you could actually showcase you know, your personality and stuff like that. So instead of sitting there doling out like $1,000, because it's funny, I was talking to a gentleman a couple days ago and he was kind of breaking down like him spending money and stuff like that. And I was kind of like telling him, I'm like, look, dude, do you even have your house paid off? You know, do you have your bills? Is your 401k plan topped off? You know, did you put money away for your kids and stuff? And he kind of started thinking and stuff. And I'm like, so you're sitting here, you're doling out this type of money, but your lifestyle ain't together. You know, like you mentioned before, it's like at least if you're like a multimillionaire, you know, I still want to go that path, but at least you have like your
Yeah.
finances in order. You're building up on your legacy and
Your
stuff like that.
basis.
But a lot of times I see a lot of guys doing this stuff that, like I said, their house ain't paid off. They're putting up that image and stuff like that, and they're just like, it's like your legacy is being impacted by, you know, your willingness to just, you know, put that pretty woman on top of above everything else, your responsibilities and stuff. And that's why I do kind of push back on that. It's just like, nah, you know what? If that female ain't into you, because a good female, like just even, you know, me and my wife, when we met up, man, she makes great money now and all that, but she's willing to like, you know, treat me good too. Like we go on the 50-50 where we sit there, we take care of each other. Like she's willing to like, hey, let me pay for that. So even when we first met, man, you know, it was around my birthday. So she took me out on a date. Dates were like low cost, been with her like 20 years. So a lot of guys, I think like we're just in that state now where, cause they hear a lot of a certain group of females saying like, oh, you got to have this in their mind. It like wired them to think like, hey, I got to spend all this money. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of, you know, females out here that will treat you nice. That's willing to, you know, spend some bread on you too because they actually like you and stuff. So, you know,
Yeah.
me and you are very high proponents of like messing with chicks with money, you know, getting
Yeah. I
a chick
mean,
that's getting that bag and stuff. And I'll let you jump in on that.
yeah. I mean, that's really the only way. That's. I think there's a lot of, I guess, shit tests that women have in their bag and their arsenal that they can like really pull out and test. Like, oh, does this guy really like me? Is he gonna do this for me at this XYZ? And you know, for men, we don't really have too many of those, but um one of those kind of tests are, you know, if a woman is really interested in you, then she's not gonna have, you know, a problem spending or investing in you, investing on you, whatever the case may be, because, you know, that's just a level of, you know, desire that, you know, most people just aren't gonna have. Um for guys, we it kind of is default. Hey, you go take a woman on a date, like society has kind of like shaped us to have that, you know, mindset. But it doesn't really go the opposite direction for women. It's not like a natural or instinctual thing for them to be like, hey, I'm going to take this guy on a date. So when you find a woman who actually does, you know that she actually likes you. And I think that's just a harsh reality that a lot of guys have to look at the woman that they're, you know, chasing after, or the women that they're with, and think, hey, if the roles were reversed, you know, would she actually, you know, take care of me? Am I actually the guy she really wants? And I mean, sometimes it's, you know, you have to answer that question for yourself, and it's a rhetorical thing. And whatever the answer may be, you just know that, hey, if the answer is no, and you can honestly know that within yourself, then you just better make sure that times don't ever get rough, because she's gone. But I think I'm a big proponent, and people should be with, you know, who they actually like. So there's multiple theories on that. Some women like, I'm dating the guy who's, you know, the biggest benefit to my life financially. Like there's plenty of women like that, and I don't necessarily think all those type of women are gold diggers. You know, some gold diggers definitely fall into that category, but you know, there's some women who are just like have an understanding that, hey, there's a certain lifestyle that I, you know, kind of want and want to maintain. So I make this type of money. I want somebody who's like an equal partner. That's not a gold digger. That's just requiring, you know, what you want because you've done it, and you expect the same out of a man that you're dealing with. Uh, but yeah, when a woman actually, you know, is willing to spend some money on you, then you know that she really likes you, because that's not a common thing. That and as men, we know that. You know how many
So
times women are pulling up on you, talking about, hey, they're gonna take you out.
it's not too often. And
Yeah,
just to kind of piggyback off what you're saying
I
to
mean, it happens
guys,
for
like,
me, but I'm talking about the rest of these guys.
yeah, you said it happens quite a bit. No, no, no.
Yeah,
I think it is a good indicator because, like I said, I mean, a good relationship should be reciprocal, and it shouldn't be like boxed into where it's like I have to always do something because that person should be like, hey, how can I take care of my man? How can I don't want him always spending his money. You know, they should be looking out for you in a certain capacity. So even if I
yeah,
was like with a chick that truly liked me and stuff, you know, she probably would be like, hey, you know, you don't have to keep doing this because I
yeah.
don't need
Actually,
to, you know, go to these $1,000 restaurants and stuff like that. You know, let's go over here and just hang out. You know, spend your money, you know, save your money or something like that. Or let me cover this. So, you know, it should be going down like that. And when I know what you're saying. It's just like most of the time, people's true nature are say like we could say for females is like they are used to like the guy just by like society norms paying for everything. But when you get that one that's like looking out for you, like, no, man, we don't have to go over here. Let's go get like an ice cream cone and walk around. You know, like we stay in the
yeah,
DMV area. Let's go just walk around some of the monuments or something. You know that person truly likes you because that they're operating out the norm and stuff like that. So guys, I think sometimes are so scared of like, you know, the whole dynamic if like she's making some money, she does some things, I'm losing leverage. And it's just like, no, if that female truly likes you, man, like that's submission in its like finest form, honestly. Like if she's willing to like, you know,
put the
cover you down and, you know, spend on you and stuff and take care of you, man. What more submission could you ask for? So
yeah,
I think a lot of people are confused on this. So I'm glad you broke that down.
yeah. Big on reciprocity. You should be definitely spoiling your queen, and she should be spoiling her king.
Yeah, it needs to go back and forth, man.
Yeah.
But so how can you prevent yourself from becoming a high value trick?
Oh, that's a simple one. You know, grab your balls and be a man. Like, as simple as that. Like, be interesting, man. Like, if you gotta shell out cash for someone to be with you, that's like you're paying for a service. And it's just like you're so uninteresting that you have to pay a motherfucker to be around you. It's like you have to look internally and, figure out how can you be more interesting. Like, I don't know, maybe go to improv comedy, sign up to, be a part of that so you can get like, make women laugh. Uh Shit, find a brotherhood that's positive, and I don't know, like weirdo stuff. Where you're actually getting out of the house, doing activities, um, challenge yourself in your career, take leadership roles and positions, because it's going to teach you how to talk to people. Because you're going to have to deal with different personalities. So, just overall, just being positive. Um, and you can prevent yourself from being a trick by, you know, paying attention. I'm gonna drop y'all a gem. Pay attention. Like, check this out, right? Uh, the internet, there's so much information on here. And there's so many people telling you how to live your life, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. I'm not going to be another one of those dudes, but I'm just going to ask you to pay attention. Pay attention. Are the dudes telling you how to live your life? Are they the dudes you would like to become? So check this out. If a dude is fat, sitting in front of a microphone, talking all this shit about him being a man and alpha and stuff like that, you know he's not. Alphas don't have to say that they're alphas. They just move, and everybody moves out the way. Pay attention. Pay attention. Is this person, you know, emotionally intelligent, or are they always losing their cool anytime they get pushed back on their position? Pay attention. Is that a man you aspire to be like? If the answer is no, then that's how you avoid becoming a high value trick. Because I mean, if you do the right things, man, the money's gonna come. You may not have it now. You may be young. You may be trying to figure yourself out in life, but as long as you have dedication, discipline, and a direction, you got to have a direction, um, and you work consistently towards that. Things will get better. As long as you're doing the right things. Um, Karma's real, so stay away from negative and negative people. But yeah, that's how you prevent yourself from becoming a high value trick. People talking about, hey, you ain't tricking if you got it, still tricking. People throwing money to showcase it in front of you to like flex. They're just tricking. Just avoid the nonsense and distractions. And
But I want to give a shout out to the young generation for because they was giving some pushback. They were like, nah, we ain't with that.
Oh yeah,
we do want like different dynamics in relationships. And I think it's people, it's funny, man, because it's people in my generation like trying to push tricking on them. Yeah. And I think like me and you are like one of the few outliers. But yeah, the young dudes they're like, nah, we ain't going for that. We ain't operating like y'all. We see where that leads and stuff. We read the news, so they're giving that pushback. Yeah. But I definitely agree with what you were saying too. And it's just like, man, you got to analyze yourself, and then eventually, man, you got to see what your shortcomings are, your pitfalls, whatever, and work on that. Because it might seem like like I said, it's a shortcut, so it is going to work out to a certain degree. But eventually, that path, we just see it all the time, and like it doesn't end well. You're with that person that's kind of miserable. They holding that resentment towards you. So it's like you might be in that like relationship, but it's just bad, man. So like you said, man, get that charm, charisma, learn, go out, speak with people, man, and do it in an organic manner, man. Because it might not be like she might not be as fine as the female you're willing to pay for, but after that stuff wears off and stuff like that, because looks gonna fade, man. Everybody's gonna get older at some point. It's just like, man, you're gonna be left holding the bag. So I definitely agree with you. It's just like, man, you got to develop yourself. You can't escape that. Yeah. And then it's just like, I've seen too many dudes, man, friends or whatever, acquaintances that try to do that shortcut, and just that person you pull in your life, man, they're going to bring a lot of like, misery with that. So it's like, avoid that at all costs.
Yeah. Just pay attention to the people who are giving out the message and what the message is. If a man is sitting up there telling you how to be a man, and they're not a man who you aspire to be like or would admire, then the message is lost. Because why would you listen to somebody you don't aspire to be like? Not saying that they can't give good information and a good perspective, but I think you should just see it as their perspective. And you should, be open to different perspectives, but, ultimately move like the people you aspire to be. So, yeah, you can't have, somebody who's completely out of shape and who's very, emotionally stupid, firing off, popping off. Yeah. That's, it might be entertaining in comedy, but, you can't take too seriously what they're saying, because they're not even living the life that they're supposed to be living. If they're that rattled, yeah, they're not successful in real life. Internet's funny, but real life is not. Real life is based on outcomes and facts.
But money is just not the end all. And I think, man, a lot of times, don't get me, like I said, man, we're both successful guys. So, yeah. And one thing, man, people got to learn how to do is stand on your own square and just realize, man, there's going to be people, like there's a ton of people that got way more money than me. There's people that got less.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm always going to do is I'm going to be principled, whatever I do. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if the whole world starts tricking. I'm not going on that path. I don't give a damn what y'all do. I'm gonna stand on my square and stuff. And so y'all, people gonna be like, hey man, you don't have enough money, whatever, man. I'm still gonna fly in my little lane. And I think people, man, they just gotta start realizing, like, stop letting people like influence you like that. Cause like you're saying, it's just like, man, people can have the appearance of having all this money, man, but you don't go home with them at the end of the day. Like, you only see segments, including myself. That's why I tell people, don't trust me. Like, until you actually like hang out with me, me on a consistent basis, man, like take that shit with a grain of salt. So I
Yeah.
ain't one to be like, oh, you need to trust me. Nah, trust no one, you know. But it's just like I said, it's just like, hey, somebody could make the money, but if they don't develop in them other areas, man, they could be going home miserable as hell, man.
Yeah.
Probably insecure as shit. So it's just like, man, you know, this is why you do gotta like listen to people and check their outcomes, vet them.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
look, we all know to a certain degree, like this is why I hate when people play dumb. Like we all know we've been around like people that were good with women that had good outcomes and stuff, and you seen the interactions. You know they weren't doing a lot of tricking and stuff, and you know just start applying that stuff to your life, man. Because like I said, it's just like, man, the people that we're seeing more and more is just like, man, that when them cameras cut off, man, they probably miserable as hell with themselves. They're not gonna come out and tell you that, but you could kind of hear it in some of the messaging that's going out on here. And like you kind of mentioned, man, it's just like people that are barking off and always upset about something. They're upset for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Because if you kind of look across the space, you don't see too many people that got their shit together, whether it's, you know, finances. They're not going to be talking about, you know, being broke. If it's people that's like good with women, having good relations and stuff like that, they're not going to be fixated on women too much because in their real life, they're putting stuff into practice. They're improving in certain areas and stuff like that. So it's like if you're catch yourself in a time where you're like either tricking or you're upset about stuff, man, you need to turn the point the fingers back at yourself and stuff.
Yeah. Looking, you know, you can definitely point the finger, but make sure you're standing in front of a mirror when you do it.
No doubt. We might have to close out on that one.
Yeah,
So any parting words for the tricks? I mean, for these people?
Nah, man. I say stay aware, stay skeptical, and stay dangerous. That's it.
All right. Well, my part words is stop tricking, man. Stop trying to justify it. If you want to trick, man, go trick. It's some your own life, man. You ain't gotta be online trying to justify that shit. These young boys listening to this stuff, man, they already kind of confused with all these like mixed messages going on. So yeah, if you want to trick, man, just stay in your box. It ain't cool, but hey, it's your money. Do what you want to. But these youngins, they ain't having it. Shout out to the youngins again, man. Like giving the pushback. They were like, I ain't having it. But all right, we'll let y'all go, man. We just wanted to touch this one. You're gonna be hearing more topics where we go in, you know, trying to get some pushback on this nonsense. Yeah. But if y'all got smoke, man, feel free to reach out, pull up. There was a couple of people that got mad at our what was that? F the red pill, fuck the red pill one.
Yeah.
So feel free if y'all want to pull up, man. Like I know y'all gotta say some dumb shit. Oh, they're simps, they're
not gonna pull up, man. They already seen, you know, how both of us have operated on panels. Like I mean, we're very open, but you know, you gotta come with a logical approach if you
and don't become insensitive, man. Like we want a discussion, man, because we might be wrong with some stuff. We could hold a conversation, but if you sensitive, dog, you get it ain't gonna end well. I don't deal with whiny ass dudes, man. That's why a lot of times like people be reaching out. I'll be going because I just can't deal with whiny men, man. Crying about every goddamn thing. But all right, we'll go ahead and close this out. Hopefully the smoke comes though. But all right,
we welcome smoke.
All right, peace.